Excellency the Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, GCON, ably represented at this event by the Majority Leader of the House of Representatives. Let's please join me in welcoming Right Honorable Professor Julius Ihonwere, CON. Please a warm round of applause for him standing in for the Speaker as the chief host of this event. Your Excellency, sir.
I think it's afternoon now. Good afternoon or good morning, whichever. Everyone, and welcome to this program, and for our guests, my fellow parliamentarians, welcome to Abuja. My job here is direct. The speaker would have loved to be here in person, but he's outside the country on national assignment, and I believe he will be joining us online to watch the proceedings. I would rest on established protocol, but I must recognize the Senate President, ably represented by my brother and friend, Senator Osita Ezunaso, the chairman of the House Committee, Honorable Representative Bamidele Salam, and members of the Committee on Public Accounts. Let me also acknowledge the President of WAPAC and other members of the Executive of WAPAC. The Honorable Minister was just giving a very brilliant presentation. Especially acknowledge a very consistent face in all the programs we put up in the House of Reps, the Comptroller General of Nigeria Immigration Service, Kemi Nandap, not just consistent, but attends in person. I don't know how she does it, but she does it. I want to specially thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. And other government agencies that are here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will go on to read the Speaker's address. I am deeply honored to welcome honorable colleagues and friends to the 10th House of Representatives at this 11th Annual Conference and General Assembly of the West Africa Association of Public Accounts Committees, WAPAC, hosted by the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Representatives with the support of WAPAC and our international development partners. This gathering could not have come at a more opportune time as our nations face mounting fiscal pressure that demand stronger legislative oversight of public debt and borrowing. The theme of this year's conference, supporting parliamentary oversight of public debt, the role of finance and public accounts committees, speaks directly to the urgency of safeguarding our financial future. I must, therefore, sincerely thank the chairman and members of the House Committee on Public Accounts for the outstanding work they have been doing since the inauguration of the 10th House. I would also like to express my appreciation to our development partners for their commitment to accountability and the protection of public finances. Honorable colleagues and distinguished guests, the theme of this conference Debt levels have reached alarming proportions. By 2022, the continent's total public debt had reached 1.8 trillion US dollars, with external debts alone surpassing $1 trillion by 2023. Sources of Africa's external financing, it becomes clear that the weight of debt on our continent is shaped by who we borrow from and on what terms. Today, Western private lenders hold about 35% of Africa's government debt through banks. Need roads, schools, hospitals, and innovation. The high cost of commercial loans, coupled with the burden of repayment in foreign currencies, leaves many African economies vulnerable to market shocks. This narrows fiscal space, constrains domestic policy choices, and slows the pace of sustainable development. If Africa is to grow stronger, we must not only negotiate fairer terms of borrowing, but also rethink our dependence on external finance. We must channel more energy into mobilizing domestic resources, fostering intra-African trade, and creating financial instruments that serve the continent's own development partners. Only then can we move from vulnerability to resilience and from dependency to true economic sovereignty. It is also important to stress that effective oversight of public debt requires vigilance, knowledge, and institutional strength. As already noted, debt levels in Africa are rising at a pace that compels us to act with foresight. By empowering our public accounts and finance committees, we create institutions that can stand reporting standards and ensure that public funds are managed with integrity. In doing so, we reaffirm our conviction that transparency is the cornerstone of good governance and the key to rebuilding public trust. In line with this commitment, I am pleased to announce Nigeria's readiness to champion the establishment of a West African Parliamentary Debt Oversight Framework under WAPAC. This framework will harmonize debt reporting across our countries, create regional standards for transparency, and empower our parliaments with timely data for effective scrutiny of borrowing practices. It is my conviction that this framework will strengthen our bargaining power in international finance and protect the long-term interests of our citizens. Beyond frameworks, we must invest in people. Nigeria, working with WAPAC and development partners, will support the establishment of a capacity building program for public accounts and finance committees across the region. This program will equip members and staff with modern tools for debt sustainability analysis, fiscal risk assessment, and oversight of complex financial instruments. Our approach to oversight must also be inclusive. In addition to the excellent work the Public Accounts Committee is doing right now, the House will further introduce policies that will guarantee greater citizen participation in debt governance as part of our open parliament policy, which has been sustained since 2023. Our major borrowing proposals will be subject to public hearings, and simplified debt reports must be made available to the general public. Oversight is most effective when it is not only parliamentary, but also people-driven. Citizens have the right to know, and we have the duty to inform them. At the same time, we must ensure that debt oversight is anchored on sustainable development. Borrowing should support infrastructure, health, education, and industries that create jobs and reduce poverty. Reckless debt that fuels consumption or corruption must be exposed and rejected. As representatives of the people, we must never forget that our oversight role is not about figures alone, but about the lives and futures behind those figures. This is equally a moment to reaffirm WAPAC's growth and relevance. Since its founding in 2009, WAPAC has stood as a symbol of peer learning and solidarity among parliamentarians in our region. As we look to the future, we must envision WAPAC as a continental leader in fiscal accountability, expanding its reach and deepening its impact over the next decade. Distinguished delegates, I wish to once again commend the chairman and members of the House Committee on Public Accounts for their vision, as well as development partners and our stakeholders present here for their commitment to fiscal responsibility. Your support and presence testify to the shared resolve to build stronger parliaments and better societies. As we begin this 5-day conference, I urge all participants to devote themselves fully to the deliberations. Let us work with dedication for the resolutions that will emerge from this gathering hold the potential to strengthen effective public finance management and accountability across our continent and our dear country, Nigeria. It is now my singular honor and privilege to declare the 11th Annual Conference and General Assembly of the West Africa Association of Public Accounts Committees open. Thank you, and may God continue to bless us all. So these are the words of Abbas Tajuddin. Thank you for listening.
this, can I call for yet another applause for the chief host of this event, His Excellency Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, GCON, Ian Zazel, speaking through the majority leader of the House of Representatives at this very event. As he settles down, I'd like to call for another round of applause for West Africa and indeed, by extension, Africa. Thank you very much. Please be seated.